There's a few verses without purport, so we'll chant the first one and then read till we get a purport. Om Soyam Samsmite
Hetu
Asanto Sorite Ritakamayo
Asanto Suritakayo
Yadricho Pap Yopapanina
Yadrichayo Papanina
Santashto Muktaye Shmita
Santusho Mukayo Smita
Om Soyam Samsmite Hetur
Om Soyam Samsmite Hetur Asanta Shotakayo
Yadrichayo Papanina
Yadrichayo Papanina
Santatosha Muktaya Smrita Pum Soyam Samsmrita Hetur Ashanto Shotakayo Yadrichayo Papanina Santatosho Muktaye Smrita
Om Soyam Samsmrite Hetu
Om Soyam Smriti Hetur
Asanta Sota Kamayo
Asanto Shoritakamayo
Yadrichayo Papanina Santosho Muktaya Smita
Santosho Muktaya Smrita
Om Soyam Samsmrite Hetu Santosho Muktaye Smrita.
Soyam Samsmrite Hetu.
Soyam Samsmrite Hetu.
Asantosho Atakamayo.
Ashantasho Atamayo.
Nadichaya Payo Panena.
Natisho Papanena.
Santosho Muktaye Smrita.
Santosho Muktaye Smrita.
Soyam Samsmrite Hetu.
Soyam Samsmrite Hetu.
Asantosho Atakamayo.
Asantosho Atamayo.
Nadichayo Papanena.
Yatrichayo Papanena. Santosho Muktaye Smrita. Pum Soyam Samsmrite Hetu. Nazaritamayo. Adrichayo Papanina. Santosho Muktaye Smrita. Pum Soyam Samsmrite Hetu. Asantosho Takamayo. Narichayo Papanina. Santosho Muktaye Smrita. Tout le monde comprend l'anglais? Comprend l'anglais? No, you're going to have a translation. Traduire, oui. Okay. Pumsa of the living entity. I am this. Sangsrite of the continuation of material existence. Hetu, the cause. Ashantosha, dissatisfaction with his destined achievement. Atakamayo, for the sake of lusty desires. And getting more and more money. Yadrichaya, with the gift of destiny. Upapanena, which has been achieved. Santosha, satisfaction. Muktaye, for liberation. Smritaha, is considered fit. Material existence causes discontent in regard to fulfilling one's lusty desires and achieving more and more money. This is the cause for the continuation of material life, which is full of repeated birth and death. But one who is satisfied by that which is obtained by destiny is fit for liberation from this material existence. So, next verse. A Brahmana who is satisfied with whatever is providentially obtained is increasingly enlightened with spiritual power. But the spiritual potency of a dissatisfied Brahmana decreases as fire diminishes in potency when water is sprinkled upon it. Therefore, O king, from you, the best of those who give charity, I only ask 3 paces of land. By such a gift I shall be very pleased, for the way of happiness is to be fully satisfied to receive that which is absolutely needed. Sukadeva Goswami continued, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead had thus spoken to Bali Maharaj, Bali smiled and told him, all right, take whatever you like. To confirm his promise to give Vamanadev the desired land, he then took up his water pot. Understanding Lord Vishnu's purpose, Shukracharya, the best of the learned, immediately spoke as follows to his disciple, who was about to offer everything to Lord Vamanadev. Shukracharya said, O son of Varochan, this brahmachari in the form of a dwarf is directly the imperishable Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Accepting Kashyapa Muni as his father and Aditi as his mother, he has now appeared in order to fulfill the interests of the demigods. You do not know what a dangerous position you have accepted by promising to give him land. I do not think that this promise is good for you. It will bring great harm to the demons. This person is falsely appearing as a brahmachari. He is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, who has come in this form to take away all your land, wealth, beauty, power, fame, and education. After taking everything from you, he will deliver it to Indra, your enemy. So, as a purport, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in this regard that the very word Hari means one who takes away. If one connects himself with Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord takes away all his miseries. And in the beginning, the Lord also superficially appears to take away all his material possessions, reputation, education, and beauty. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:88:8, Yasyaham anugrinami harishe taddanam shanai, which is a quote. The Lord said to Maharaj Yudhisthira, the first installment of my mercy toward a devotee is that I take away all his possessions, especially his material opulence, his money. This is the special favor of the Lord toward a sincere devotee. If a sincere devotee wants Krishna above everything, but at the same time is attached to material possessions, which hinder his advancement in Krishna consciousness, by tactics the Lord takes away all his possessions. Here Shukracharya says that this dwarf brahmachari would take away everything. Thus he indicates that the Lord will take away all one's material possessions and also one's mind. If one delivers his mind to the lotus feet of Krishna, Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayo, one can naturally sacrifice everything to satisfy him. Although Bali Maharaj was a devotee, he was attached to material possessions, and therefore the Lord, being very kind to him, showed him special mercy by appearing as Lord Vamana to take away all his material possessions and his mind as well. Shradai Krishna Style Samadi Bhakti Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Designations Sanivadi Pashati Sharni Vanchikalpa Trubhishta Kripa Sindhu Vichapati Tanambhavani Vaishnavi. So Bali is listening to Krishna in the form of Vamanadev and to his spiritual master, Shukracharya. And he's going to have to decide who to surrender to. He wants to give everything to Lord Vishnu, but his spiritual master is cautioning him not to do that. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about this point of when you connect with Krishna, your material situation changes dramatically. Krishna will take everything away. That is the meaning of the name Hari. It means it takes away. It's like a thief. He will take things away. So Prabhupada says, Hari will take away your misery, which is why people like Krishna consciousness, because it makes them feel happy. Prabhupada said, chant and be happy. The misery of material life recedes and does not be so stringent. But then Krishna also wants to take away all sorts of other things. He will take away, Prabhupada says, material possessions, and will take away our reputation. He will take away all our material assets. Supposedly, they're called assets and material from material point of view. So, then Prabhupada quotes the verse, Yasyaham anugrahami harisye tadanam shanai. So, this is a famous verse. It's spoken by Krishna to Yudhisthira in the 10th canto. It's actually in the chapter about Vrikasura. And the context is that Lord Krishna is explaining to Yudhisthira, who can't understand the difference between or apparently can't understand the difference between the devotees of Vishnu and the devotees of Shiva. And he's saying the devotees of Shiva become very opulent, even though Lord Shiva just has no material possessions, lives under a tree. But the devotees of Lord Vishnu, who is very opulent, who's husband of the goddess of fortune, they're very poor. And then this verse is spoken, and then the explanation is given that the devotees of Lord Vishnu don't have anything materially. Yeah? They don't have any material things. They have spiritual wealth. And the devotees of Lord Shiva have great material wealth. So it appears that the devotees are poor, and the devotees of Vishnu are poor, and the devotees of Shiva are wealthy. But actually there's a difference when you consider it from the spiritual point of view. From the spiritual point of view, the devotees of Vishnu are very, very, very opulent because they have the shelter of the Lord. Whereas somebody who's a devotee of Lord Shiva, he has temporary wealth. So Krishna will take everything away from a devotee in order to give him something better. That's the idea. If the mother says to the child, no, you cannot have unlimited ice cream. But I want ice cream. No, you cannot have ice cream. Why is the mother restricting the child from having ice cream? Because it's not good for her. It's not a good thing to be eating lots and lots of ice cream. So in the same way, Krishna is our well-wisher. He doesn't want us to go more and more into material life. It's not good for us from a spiritual point of view. Yeah? So Krishna will take away things for our spiritual well-being. Or he will encourage us to give things up for the point of view of getting us out of the illusion of material life. So material life is like a virtual reality. where we have the illusion of being the enjoyer. And gradually we have to give up this addiction to material life. I want to read something about this, some of the purport to this verse. It's actually find the 10th canto. Because it's quite a long purport, and it explains how Krishna takes things away, but it's just for this point, it's actually for a better, it's to give us something better. And there's also one verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where it says, Krishna says, I'm very intelligent. If somebody wants something material, I don't give it to him. I give him instead, I give him something better. I give him the nectar of my lotus feet, the taste of my lotus feet. So we think, why isn't Krishna giving me this? Or why can't I do this? Or why don't I have that? Or why am I sick? Or why am I, not successful? Prabhupada actually, he had a big plan. Prabhupada's plan was to become very wealthy, a big business magnate, and then with all the wealth, he would sponsor, Krishna consciousness. He would spread Krishna consciousness by being very wealthy. So he had a business, and he was always trying to build up this business, a pharmaceutical business. And there was several attempts that Prabhupada made, and it was smashed. And again, he would make it, and it was smashed. And then finally, Yasyaham Anugrahami, he knew that it wasn't Krishna's plan. Krishna was taking all his wealth away. And Prabhupada quoted this verse. It says in the Lilamrita that Prabhupada understood. So the English translation is, Personality of Godhead said, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way, he suffers one distress after another. So I'm going to read some of the purport, because these purports are based on the comments of the acharyas, and it's better to hear from them than from me. So I'm reading what they say. Devotees of the Supreme Lord experience both happiness and distress, not as consequences of material work, but as incidental effects of their loving relationship with the Lord. So happiness and distress are both coming from the loving relationship with the Lord. Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu explains how a Vaishnava is relieved of all karmic reactions. So Krishna will take away all your karma. So the karma is what binds us to this world. Yeah, we're in this world because we've performed activities that cause us to get another body. Karma, that's what karma means. Karma means activities that cause you to take birth again. So that is removed. And then it explains it to 4 different kinds of reactions. It says, those that have not yet begun to manifest, aparabdha, those that are just about to manifest, kuta, those that are barely manifesting, bija, and those that have fully manifested, parabdha. So parabdha is what we have like immediately now, our bodies and our experiences now. But there's also things that are yet to come. We have what's called a stockpile of karma. Things that are in the future. But there's a nice analogy. It says, as a lotus gradually loses many petals, so a person who takes shelter of devotional service has all his karmic reactions destroyed. So it says, my understanding is that it was in Srila Prabhupada's astrology chart that he was to become very wealthy, very, very successful, materially successfully and wealthy, but it didn't manifest because of his relationship with Krishna. Similarly, Krishna can change our destiny for spiritual advancement by removing this karma. We may have, of course, we may have very bad karma. We're glad to have it removed, but we also may have good karma when we removed. Because in that way, when we're relieved of our karma, we don't have to come back into this world. If you have a lot of good karma or bad, you have to come back to receive it. So when you have all your karma removed, they say that when you jump in the river Yamuna, you know the river Yamuna that runs through Vrindavan, which is the holy city of Vaishnavas in India. When you jump in the Yamuna river, all your good karma and bad karma are removed. It's because it's non-different to Krishna. The river is coming from Krishna's lotus feet. Krishna used to swim in the Yamuna, so. The devotional service to Lord Krishna eradicates all karmic reactions. This is confirmed in the Gopal Tapani Shruti. Quotes another verse. Devotional service is the process of worshipping the Supreme Lord. It consists of fixing the mind upon Him, becoming disinterested in all material designations. So designations means, I am a woman, I am a man, I am French, I am German, I am old, I am young. All these things are external. They're not actually to do with the soul. The soul is not belonging to this world. The designations belong to this world. Okay, it results in the dissolution of all karma. So there's also a verse in the Brahma Samhita. Krishna says that Krishna removes all our karma. While it is certainly true that those who practice devotional service remain in material bodies and apparently material situations for some time, this is simply an expression of the inconceivable mercy of the Lord. You could say, well, if Krishna's removed all my karma, why am I still here? Why have I still got a body? Because the body's a result. Well, we just have it, that little bit to finish. It's like they say, it's like when you have a fan and the fan is going very, very fast and you pull out the plug. Well, for a while the fan keeps turning. It continues and gradually our karma will go back to Godhead. It will be finished. So we're not under ordinary karma. Once you start chanting Hare Krishna, you're under Krishna's personal supervision. In every stage of devotion, however, the Lord watches over his devotee and he sees to the gradual elimination of his karma. Thus, despite the fact that happiness and distress devotees experience resembles ordinary karmic reactions, they are in fact given by the Lord himself. As the Bhagavatam states, Bhavad Uta Shubha Shubhayo, a mature devotee recognizes the superficially good and bad conditions he encounters as the signs of the direct guidance of his ever will-wishing Lord. So some people will think that God should make us happy in this world. God should give us please God give me good exam results, or God please make my backache better, or God please help me pay the mortgage, or they think that's God's role, if you like, to help them in this world. It's very common. People are pious, but they want God to fix their life. But this is actually not the highest platform. It means that they want God to serve them, actually. It's what you're doing, you're actually asking God to serve you. Isn't it? If you want him to come and help in your material life. Help me find a parking space. Something like that. Oh, Krishna, please. But higher than that, the Vaishnava understanding is that our only purpose of our existence, the only purpose of our existence is to give pleasure to Krishna. It's not to do with whether we're happy or distressed is not the point. The point is we are meant to serve Krishna. And that's the only place where we completely focus on serving Krishna. That's the only place where we can actually be happy, because that's what we're meant to do. If you do what you're meant to do, you become satisfied. If we're trying to satisfy ourselves by having whatever situation in this material world and trying to get God to help us do that, we're going the wrong direction. And that's why people aren't happy. So then there's another point. Sometimes the devotees seem to suffer even more. Sometimes there are stories of devotees suffering. It seems like to be very cruel, you know. Like Lord Jesus Christ is an obvious example. He was crucified. It seems very extreme. Why did God let that happen? Yeah. Or Prahlad, you know, or the Pandavas, you know, they're all devotees in the Mahabharata. There's a story of the 5 brothers, Pandavas, and they went through all sorts of trials and tribulations. But they were all pure devotees. So why does Krishna do that? Okay, so this is discussed. If the Lord is so compassionate to his devotees, why does he expose them to special suffering? Not just suffering, special suffering. So if you're having a hard time, it's special suffering. This is answered by an analogy. A very affectionate father takes responsibility of restricting his children's play and making them go to school. He knows that this is a genuine expression of his love for them, even if the children fail to understand. Similarly, the Supreme Lord Vishnu is mercifully strict with all his dependents, not only with immature devotees struggling to become qualified, even perfect saints like Prahlad, Dhruva, and Yudhisthira were subjected to great tribulation, all for their glorification. After the battle of Kurukshetra, Shri Bhishmadev described to Yudhisthira his wonder at this. So this is a famous verse. Nahi yasya kahichit rajan bhumam veti vidisivam yadvijashaya yukta muyante kavayo pihi. So Bhishma says, how wonderful it is, the influence of inevitable time. It is irreversible. Otherwise, how can there be reverses in the presence of King Yudhisthira, the son of the demigod controlling religion, Bhima, the great fighter with a club, the great bowman Arjuna with his mighty weapon Gandiva, and above all, the Lord, the direct well-wisher of the Pandavas. O King, no one can know the plan of the Lord. Even though great philosophers inquire exhaustively, they are bewildered. So it's all the plan of the Lord, though we may not understand what is happening, you know. What is going on? We just have to know it's the plan of the Lord. Although a Vaishnava's happiness and distress are felt as pleasure and pain, just like ordinary karmic reactions, they are different in a significant sense. Material happiness and distress arising from karma leave a subtle residue, the seed of future entanglement. But such enjoyment and suffering tend towards degradation and increase the danger of falling into hellish oblivion. So if you carry on enjoying and suffering in this world, you tend to also become degraded. But happiness and distress generated from the Lord's desires, however, leave no trace after their immediate purpose has been served. So we may suffer or enjoy, but we're being freed from the cycle of birth and death. Moreover, the Vaishnava who enjoys such reciprocation with the Lord is in no danger of falling down into nescience. The beloved devotees of the Lord do not regard as very troublesome the suffering he imposes of them. Like we just chanted that verse, isn't it? Aslishava pada punastamam where it says, even if he handles me roughly with his embrace. Yeah? So Krishna may handle us roughly by his embrace, but still he is my Lord unconditionally. Yeah. So Krishna may put us through some difficulties. We can expect that he will. Indeed, devotees find that in the end it gives rise to unlimited pleasure, just as a stinging ointment applied by a physician cures his patient's infected eye. So that's an analogy. You know, you may go to the hospital or the doctor. Or last week I had this cut on my hand here. And I asked Manjurali if she could do something. And she got this stuff that was like antiseptic. And she poured it on my hand. It's like, yow! But actually it was good because it was cleaning the cut and stopping it from getting infected. So that's the analogy he's given here, is that you put the ointment on the eye because there's something wrong with the eye. But it stings, it hurts, it seems like it's got worse. But actually in the end, you get better. So our suffering in devotional service may appear just to be too much. But in the end, it will be for our benefit. We will appreciate having gone through all the austerity because it strengthens the mind, it purifies our character, and it pleases Krishna if we stick with the process and we serve him through thick and thin. He sees that, she's really sincere, or he's really sincere, he's tolerated all that. Now I will give him my blessings, now I will give him my mercy. Okay, so it says the difficulties, the devotees, talking about the difficulties, the devotee suffers. And then it says, this is an interesting point, it says, in addition, suffering helps protect the confidentiality of devotional service. Right? Because people may think, well, it's a nice, easy life, I just go to the temple and I do a few things and I can live with nice people. And no, it says, it discourages intrusions by the faithless. People who are faithless may come and try and, but they're put off when they say, there's so many difficulties in that castle. They have so many problems there. I don't think no. And it increases the eagerness with which the devotees call upon the Lord. So it discourages people who want to come and take advantage of the devotee association, but they don't really want Krishna. They just think it would be a nice life. They want to take advantage. And it also makes the devotees turn to Krishna more. When you're having a hard time, then you will say, Krishna, please, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. You remember Krishna more. You remember Krishna much more when it's difficult. You're having a nice time, you forget, isn't it? You forget, you just enjoy. You forget Krishna. If the devotees of Lord Vishnu were complacently happy all the time, he would never have a reason to appear in this world as Krishna, Ramachandra, Nrsimha, and so on. We were talking about that last night, saying if we were always happy, we'd actually be boring. Jai Haribol, Jai Haribol, Jai Haribol. When something happens that, you start to focus and your mind is absorbed in this and that and this and that. Oh, Krishna, this is very difficult. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya duskritam dharma samsthapanataya sambhavani yuge yuge, to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium, without showing himself on earth as the original. So this whole story of Bali Maharaj and Shukracharya, Krishna could just have appeared in front of Bali, quietly said, I think you should just, hand over the heavenly planets. I think you should just give it back to the demons. I mean, really at heart you're my devotee anyway, and you could just, just forget being the king of the demons. But he didn't, he made it a whole drama. It's interesting. And there's Shukracharya telling him not to do it, and there's all the people in the yagya, and Bali Maharaj, what is he going to decide? Is he going to give the land to Vamanadev, and is he going to do what Shukracharya says, and how will Shukracharya react? And it's a very interesting drama, because Krishna has an interesting life, interesting pastimes, interesting wonderful Haribol, and bland. Without the Lord showing himself on earth in his original form of Krishna, in the forms of various incarnations, his faithful servants in this world would have no opportunity to enjoy his Rasa Leela and other pastimes. So it makes for interesting interactions between the devotees and the Lord. Okay, but then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti here counters a possible objection. He says, what fault would there be in God's incarnating for some other reason than to deliver saintly persons from suffering? So that's the main reason Krishna comes, is to relieve the suffering. And then he said, the reply is, my dear brother, this makes good sense, but you are not expert in understanding spiritual moods. It is at night that the sunrise becomes attractive. During the hot summer, cold water gives comfort. In the cold winter months, warm water is pleasing. Lamplight appears attractive in darkness, not in the glaring light of day. And when one is distressed by hunger, food tastes especially good. In other words, to strengthen his devotee's mood of dependence on him and longing for him, the Lord arranges for his devotees to go through some suffering. And when he appears in order to deliver them, their gratitude and transcendental pleasure are boundless. So Krishna gives us a hard time, because then it's very pleasing when you actually perceive him finally. You have this experience in different situations, but there's one experience is if you're trying to distribute books on the street and nobody will take a book, nobody will even stop, everybody's just pushing you aside. No mercy, no mercy. They don't want the mercy in France. They say no mercy, no mercy. And nobody will take a book. Oh, Krishna, please. Just like even just one book, And then when finally somebody takes a book, it's like bliss, thank you, Krishna, thank you, Haribol. Because you feel like finally you did something pleasing to Lord Chaitanya, you're able to give out one book. Because then you may go on to give out other books, but that's just an example of a situation that's very, very difficult. And then when Krishna comes, Krishna gives. Sometimes it's like that in the kitchen, Everything, you're struggling with everything, things are burning and something boils over and then you don't have the ingredients you need and you have to run and try and find them and everything's going wrong. Finally, everything's okay and the offering's ready. Ding, 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 it's the pujari takes to offer. But you have to go through some fire, you have to walk through some fire. Prabhupada said that. You have to be prepared to walk through fire. Not just a matter of sitting down. Spiritual life doesn't mean just eat some halava and hold a flower and smile and just... You have to do things, yeah? To do things with Krishna, you have to struggle. Oh, it's getting late. Breakfast time is 9:15 now. So Krishna takes everything away. There's in the Bhagavad Gita he says, "Time I am, the destroyer of worlds." So Krishna will take away everything. The time of death, everything will be finished. So we might as well give our everything to Krishna now. It will be taken away anyway. Our bodies will be taken away, our money will be taken away, everything will go. So we might as well give it to Krishna now. Krishna says, I am all-devouring death. The whole universe will be finished. It is a virtual reality, it's just temporary. It's like some movie, and it'll be finished. So better surrender now. Surrender now, take the opportunity now to do something for Krishna while we have this, intelligence, strength, ability. You don't know how long it will last. You don't know how long you'll have you can go crazy, or you can have a big accident, or death can come at any minute, even if you're young. You don't know how long it will be that you have this opportunity. The government may make some law, they have to close down all the temples. Now these temples are just spreading COVID. We can't have this anymore, we close them all down. We don't know what can happen. So we have to make the most of our opportunity that we have now in this human form of life. Labda sudurlabham idam bahasambhavanti anushanam atatam anicca apihadira tunam yateta yapata naputa arumitsyam. I can't remember the last line properly. There's a famous verse, it's the most favourite verse of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. He said, I will preach this verse throughout my life. I will preach this verse until I leave my body. It means that you have a human life, and it's very rarely achieved, very difficult to achieve the human life. It takes a long time through evolution, through all the different species. Finally you get a human life. It must be used, even though it's temporary. It can be used for eternal benefit. You've got something temporary, but you can use it for eternality. Yeah. Sorry, this thing fell off. But anyway, maybe it's not working. I don't know. Okay. Anybody want to make a comment? Christian.
What's the favorite verse of Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj? I didn't think.
Yeah, that verse. I can send it to you. I can't remember. It's in the 11th canto. Labda sudurlabham idam samubhavanti. Having attained the human form of life, which is very difficult to achieve. It's before it falls down dead, Anumitya, you should serve Krishna. Vidura, your hand went up for like 2 seconds there.
Yeah, because I thought to finish. I can ask a question?
You can if you want.
I was just wondering if sometimes when we have a situation or something and we say, oh, it's Krishna's arrangement, Srila Prabhupada gives this example of the fan you mentioned, and that it's not karma anymore, it's Krishna taking responsibility for us. And I'm just wondering if we say Krishna by means of, say, because it seems more like Lord Vishnu's seems, because Krishna has lots of rasa and is enjoying the spiritual world, and does he really take care of all those things, or is it more like Vishnu as the super soul?
Vishnu is the super soul. Well, I know that Krishna, there's a verse, I think it's in the 3rd canto. Krishna, Lord Vishnu in the heart is replaced by Krishna for a devotee. There's the super soul, everybody has a super soul, all the dogs and hogs, and everybody has super soul in the heart. But when you're a devotee, it becomes Krishna in the heart. And it becomes the specific form of Krishna to whom you're attached. So if you're attached to Radha Govinda Madhava, it becomes Radha Govinda Madhava in the heart. So it is directly Krishna who's dealing with you. That's my understanding. Prabhu, you have something to say about that? Prabhu's?
It was directly Krishna. The devotees are under Krishna. There's verse in the Gita where Krishna says, "For my devotee, I preserve what they have and carry whatever they lack." And there's a story that I don't know who it is. One devotee long ago, he thought, what was that? He thought that he was reading the Bhagavad Gita, and he thought, this can't be. Krishna is absorbed in his Leela, but I can believe that he will get it done through somebody. And he scratched out the verse, and he changed it to, he changed the word. He scratched the word out. He says, I will do it. Because he didn't believe that that will happen.
Yeah, I carry what you lack, yeah. He was
And he went to take bath. And when he came back, while he was taking bath, Krishna came in the form of him and came to his door. And the wife saw him. Krishna came and the wife saw him.
They were very poor.
They were very poor.
They were very poor and they had no money. And he was
nothing.
thinking, yeah, how is Krishna carrying what I lack? I have no money, I cross this out. It was Arjuna, I think his name was something Arjuna.
And then Krishna, the name is,
okay.
He came and Krishna came to the door and not as in his form, but in a different form. And he gave all the things to the wife.
I think it was Krishna Balaram, no? Krishna Balaram?
No, not Krishna Balaram. There's so many things I can't remember all the details.
Krishna Balaram. Krishna and Balaram came as boys.
And he said, your husband sent these things for you, produce so you can cook and eat. And as he turned around, she saw that his back was scratched up, as if he'd been beaten. And she said, "Oh, what happened to you?" And he said, "Your husband did this." And he said, "My husband?" So, yeah, but don't worry about it. I'm okay. And he left. So she's thinking, what kind of a man I married? I didn't know he had this mean streak in him. But then the husband came back from taking bath in the river. And she said, someone came here with all these produce, so I cooked lunch. So, why did you beat the man up? And he said, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything. So he went in his room and he sat down. When he opened his Gita, he saw where he had scratched out was erased and put back. Krishna saying, I will personally, I'll take care of him. So then he could understand that must have been Krishna who came to his door.
Krishna came.
So Krishna personally takes care of his devotee.
Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.
Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Nicht